Hello guys, it's me Simo Orahara, and in this video we'll talk about the battle of Sajin Komamura and Bambietta Buster Bean and how Bambietta was defeated. That battle frankly had several distinct things. If we go back to the beginning of the first meeting between Sajin Komamura and Bambietta Buster Bean, then many things were different from their second meeting, especially on the part of Sajin Komamura. Bambietta from the beginning had one intention, which is to kill. We notice how as soon as she came to the Seiichi, she started cutting the Shinigami into half without any mercy. As for Sajin Komamura, he still had those ideas that was urgent Tosen for. And I'm talking here about not seeking revenge, and that revenge will not lead you to any path. That's why even Sajin's behavior in the beginning was different from the second invasion, so that he was surprised by how a little girl is enlisted inside the Quincy army. Meanwhile, Bambietta mocked Komamura's appearance and called him a puppy, and this puppy has a big secret behind his appearance. What I have to point out is that in the first invasion in the manga version, we didn't see Bambietta using the explosion technique. All we could see were the effects of the battle between her and Sajin Komamura. But in the anime version, we saw that scene where Bambietta used the explosion technique on Komamura. Of course, she used that power at its normal level, because later she will use it while she is in the vault standing phase. And so as we have seen, the end of the first invasion ended with a big defeat for the Gotei 13. And it is true that the Quincy side also knew some losses in their army, such as the trio who were killed by Zaraki or the Skull who was killed by Yamamoto. But the Shinigami side knew the death of the leader of the Gotei 13, Yamamoto, and this was the biggest loss that the Shinigami received. And we all know the place of Yamamoto to everyone as a personality and as a power, but he has also a special place in Sajin Komamura's heart, because despite those rough features that distinguished the old man, Yamamoto, he was the only person who accepted Sajin Komamura and included him in the Gotei 13. And this act of the old man had left a big impact on Komamura to the point he couldn't accept the death of Yamamoto. And so, in a moment of anger and well of revenge, Komamura had abandoned all the beliefs he was believing in. And so he decided to take the path of Tosen, the path of revenge. And he decided to go back to his origin. I'm speaking here about his clan in order to learn the technique Jinka no Jutsu. And at the same time, Kobo gave us a glimpse into the life of the Sternreiter inside the castle of the Wanderreich. And among the characters that we got to know is Bambietta Buster Bean. And the impression that Kobo gave us at the beginning is that Bambietta is an important character and one of the main characters within the Sternreiter. Especially she was the first woman to appear in the first invasion and had that clash against Komamura. Add to that, she seemed to be the boss of the Quincy girls. Of course, we at that time didn't know that Giselle was a guy, but what came to our mind is that Bambietta is the strongest character among this group and will have a major role in the upcoming events. And at the same time, Komamura went to the leader of his clan inside a cave in the mountains to teach him the technique of turning into a human, or more precisely into a werewolf. And this is the form that Komamura's ancestors were in before they were exiled to the animal kingdom, and then they returned to the Soul Society in this form. The old wolf was clear with Komamura that if you want the Jinka no Jutsu technique that will give you great strength and temporary immortality, you must sacrifice your heart. And as I said before in another video, what Komamura did, I find it similar to what Ichigo did in order to learn the final Getsuga Tensho technique. One of them sacrificed his Shinigami powers and the other sacrificed his heart, which represents his life. And so the second invasion came. The second invasion was not the same as the first, as several captains had their Bankai stolen, among them Komamura, and he came to the battle in his human body, bringing with him new power. On the other hand, Bambietta came with the intention of fighting Komamura, as she has his Bankai. It is noticeable here that Bambietta has a power which is very terrifying, even without using the vault standing form. It is true that her power is simple in principle, but has a strong effect. All that Bambietta does is send balls of Rishi, and these balls, as soon as they hit the target they come in contact with, the target itself become a bomb. Therefore, it is difficult to avoid the attack, whether with a shield or with a sword. I mean, just watch this scene. Bambietta's anger led to a very wide explosion. However, when Urahara found the problem of the stolen Bankai and the Bankai of Komamura came back, all of this made us to see the power of Bambietta in her full Sajin form. And it is true that before releasing her full standing, she was in a difficult situation after she was exposed to the ability of Hiraku's Shikai. However, the ability to launch Rishi bombs in many places and at a great speed made her evade the Shikai ability. I mean, imagine with me, one hit from Bambietta's bombs was enough to defeat Hiraku, a captain in the Gute 13. And if you notice guys, the Sternrecher rely on this surprising technique a lot in their fights. Busby with one blow was able to bring down Kira. And the same thing with Masculine and Rose. Immediately after Masculine nullified Rose's Bankai ability, he hit him directly and finished him. And this also happened with Hiraku. Thus, the battlefield was empty for a direct confrontation between Bambietta and Komamura, after the latter saved Momo, who was just around the corner from joining her captain. At first, Komamura believed that Bambietta's Rishi balls could only handled with armor, so that he wanted to confront Bambietta with the mask that he puts on his head. But Komamura in the last second changed his decision and decided to face Bambietta's attack with his hand. Because in the last second he felt something was not right, and he did well. Because Bambietta's ability, as we said, is not actually a Rishi bombs that explode as soon as they come into contact with the target. In fact, it turns the part it touches into a bomb and explodes. Thus, Komamura would have suffered great damage if he confronted the attack using the armor of his head. And another thing, Sajin came this time with the mask he had been wearing since the beginning of the story. But between yesterday and today, there is a big difference. Previously, Komamura used to wear a mask to hide his animal form, the wolf form because of which he was bullied and not accepted by many. Yamamoto was among the few who accepted Komamura as he is, but the mask of the present was hiding under truth, the real Komamura, the truth about his clan's true forms before they were banished to the animal kingdom, and it is the form of the werewolves. But returning to this form is no longer easy, rather it requires a great sacrifice, which is giving up your life by sacrifice your heart. And so Komamura's new form gave him three distinctive things, namely temporary immortality and great strength, as well as the form itself that is close to humans. And since Komamura's relationship with his Zanpakuto is unique, what happens to him, it happens to his Bankai. All those three privileges that Komamura obtained were reflected in the Bankai. Tengen Myu form changed like Komamura. The Bankai removed the shield of life just as Komamura removed his heart. And thus the Bankai also obtained the ability of immortality as well as a great strength. And this point of immortality was the real reason that defeated Bambietta. Because no matter how Bambietta will send to Komamura those balls of Rishi, it will not harm him because his body has immortality. And add to it, Komamura's speed in that phase was not normal, as it contributed to turning the battle table. Komamura's Bankai speed made him move quickly in responding to Bambietta's blows, and this is what happened at the end of the battle. Komamura quickly responded to the attack, making Bambietta herself unable to avoid the attack, and thus she suffered a great damage by her own strength, and that was the final blow that made Bambietta defeated. The strange thing about this battle, as I always say, is that both sides of the battle did not win anything. They both lost the battle. Komamura did not achieve the revenge he was seeking for. He wanted to confront Yuhabach and avenge Yamamoto's death, but he failed to do so. As for what happened to Bambietta, I think that after her defeat, she should have died. And I mean, she should have been killed like what happened to the losers at the beginning of the second invasion, like Kangdo and BG9. And therefore, this is what should have happened to Bambietta as well. She should have been killed. However, Giselle preferred another option, which is the worst. She told Bambietta that they would be lonely without her. So she decided to use her ability by killing her and making her a zombie. And this is honestly the worst possible ending for a character like Bambietta. So guys, what do you think about this battle? And do you think we're gonna see some addition in the anime? Tell me your opinions guys in the comments and see you in my next video.